know, the show's the same as always. But in our minds, as part of our great celebration here, we are going to have a clown from Ringling Brothers come and join us. How about that? What is a party without a clown from Ringling Brothers? Okay, also joining us here is Mary Keefe. And Mary, you are running for City Council at Large. Thanks for coming by this morning.
Thanks, Hank. It's great to be here.
Listen, tell us a little bit about what made you decide that you wanted to run, that this was your time. Because I got to tell you, it seems to me anybody in their right mind would be running the other way with the way that the budget is.
I know. It is a tough time, and I think we are facing a lot of difficult decisions. But for me personally, I've been working in the community for a long time, as you know, as director of the Pleasant Street Neighborhood Network Center, and really on the grassroots level, seeing, you know, how Worcester is for folks. And I think what we've experienced in organizing in the community is that we can be really successful when we have strong leadership on the council that really relates to what people feel is important. And when those elected officials are able to work with organized people to bring the agenda forward, help with the process so that we feel like we have a voice at City Hall. And right now I feel like our government is a little out of whack. We have the legislative side and the administrative side. And unless there's strong leadership on the legislative side, setting policy and moving the people's agenda forward, then I think sometimes the administration can be overpowerful. Whether you agree with Manager O'Brien's decisions in every way or not, I think our democracy works best when we're more in balance. So new leadership on the council is what I'm hoping for, and that's what I've stepped forward to run at large.
I mean, some of it, part of it that is so interesting to me in your candidacy, in your running, is that it does seem that for whatever reason, many of our city councils do not come from that type of a background, do not come from that type of an organizational background or having been involved, you know, in CDCs or anything of that nature. And sometimes I feel that those folks and city councilors are kind of at odds, if you will. You know, organizers for the Save Our Pools, for example, would maybe be the latest example where it's kind of like there was friction between the two to make something happen. And my organization was part of Save Our Pools and had worked for the past couple years on trying to have a public forum where people could voice their concerns or ideas about how do we address swimming in Worcester, how do we address the fact that our 11 existing pools have really fallen into disrepair to the point where many of them can't be retrieved, or how do we spend the $2.5 million that the city has decided to borrow? Are we going to build this big fancy pool, or are we going to stretch those dollars to make more modest swimmable pools that our kids and families can walk to? And so that's always been the tension. How do we do it, and how do we hear from people so that we can impact the decisions that are made to be something that people really believe in? Yeah, interesting dynamic, and an interesting dynamic that you bring to the race. And as you're talking about, you know, some change and maybe some leadership change that you're looking to try and get on the council as well. Having said that, how hard is it to get out there and run? I said to Steve a moment ago as you were watching that it just seems a little quiet, and I mean quiet from a media standpoint. I don't see you guys getting a lot of coverage that I think you had in years past. Yeah, well, I think it's hard. Some of our media, our written media especially, has changed a lot. The Telegram doesn't seem to cover as much local news, and Worcester Magazine has changed in terms of their management. So trying to find the niches are a little bit harder, I think. I appreciate being here today, and I do feel like media is coming forward now. Like all of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of contacts. And in terms of the work, you know, I was just talking about, you know, Worcester really celebrated summer right up till the very end, and people were on vacation in August. So I think now you're seeing candidates really working hard. The signs are going up. We're out there door knocking. We're doing phone banking, all the strategies that it takes. And so you know, people said it's going to take a lot of work, and I said, all right, well, I'm a hard worker, but I still can't believe how hard it is. It's a lot. Mary, public safety. There's been a lot of talk about downtown not being very safe. This is something that you're so involved in. Is it reality, or is it just perception that we aren't safe in the city? I think it's a perception, and I was sorry to see that in the paper the other day. I live 3 blocks from downtown, and I'd have to say that our city feels safer than ever. I've lived downtown for 12 years.
I still remember the days when there were throngs of people downtown, and we're far from that. But I think, we could do a lot more to encourage people, and I think it's trying to think about what are the people of Worcester looking for downtown. Not always thinking about how do we entice people from outside, but we've got folks that live really close by that could walk and really enjoy being downtown. How do we create venues that will draw those young people, those colleges off, students off of the campuses, and how can the colleges help us make that happen?
Would you support a pilot program?
No, I think there are enough assets within our relationship to colleges that we can do a lot more without even putting a dollar sign on it. But we can build a stronger relationship, and relationships that bring our students off campus to be part of the fabric of our community, whether it's working at a nonprofit or, enjoying venues, entertainment downtown. I think there's lots of different ways we can maximize that.
Mary, the budget is just, I mean,
Right.
they're talking about on the school side, it's going to be maybe $26 million there in the hole. Who knows what it will be for the city side. We saw so many layoffs
Right.
just this past fiscal year. What's your take? I mean, what can be done? What can a city councilor do? And if you want to wrap into that, the fact that we're $12 million
Right.
under the 2.5 cap as well, should that be touched?
Well, to go to 2.5, I think what we saw, what was that, 20 years ago, that we chopped a lot of really important neighborhood services, branch libraries being one, and we never got them back. And we even see our neighborhood schools in jeopardy. I would hope that we're looking at this difficult time as temporary, and that we're able to think about, okay, how do we, just turn the lights down a little bit here and get through this hard time and not make any permanent cuts. I think we still mourn the loss of so much of our local, decentralized, accessible, entities in terms of services and public places. Very important for us in terms of a livable city. I'd hate to see us lose any of those permanently. In terms of the 12 million, I'm not exactly sure, but I think if we were to tax to the max, it would probably be under $100 per property owner. And it would be curious, what would people like to see that money going towards? If we could actually guarantee something that was mandated from
Right.
the people, swimming pools? Wouldn't that be great? So I think, if we could figure out what would be the best way to spend